So Africans are particularly famous for lots of stuff that aren't exactly, really cool stuff. Because it seems there has to be some more derogatory way of presenting everything that is truly African in order to make the African seem inadequate, not good enough, not a person, not worthy of anything admirable. And one of these crazy topics that has generated so much controversy here on the SEVICS Africa YouTube channel has been the subject of nudity in African natives, right? And the question is, when you see a typical African in a native African attire, what is the first thing that comes to mind? Well, I can help but think of Madonna. You only see what your eyes want to see, and that's how I choose to understand this subject of nudity, because before the invasion of the Europeans and before the colonization happened, we had certain ways we perceived things. And when an African saw a person, irrespective of how they dressed in that culture, they would have experienced an encounter with just another person. That was cool, that was innocent, that was beautiful. But right now, we can no longer see a person without sexualizing them, because this is what I have come to realize, that all the protests about nudity among Africans, well, first comes out of double standards, but then also comes out of a dirty mind, a mind that is unable to see a person without imagining what sexual favors they have to offer or how they can be exploited sexually. And this goes right back to the colonial times, when the Europeans arrived to Africa. What really did they see and what really did they do? Well, in case you didn't know, they were stealing and plundering and raping and killing. Yeah, for things as simple as palm oil, they would destroy a whole village. Yeah, and then when they saw the ladies, they went bonkers. Yeah, I know. Probably no one has said this to you, or you probably haven't thought about it this way. But a lot of Europeans were experiencing Africans at a time that their own society was repressed, highly repressed. There were no gender rights. Women did not have rights in Europe at the time. Only men had rights. Yeah, and then not every man, you had to be like royalty or of noble birth or something, for you to have certain rights. And that's why, if you read through the history books, the man Christopher Columbus had to change his name, had to change his identity. There is no such person as Christopher Columbus. That was a made-up identity by a man who was quite ambitious and wanted to go do something for himself. And then, why would you trust anything a man like that says? A man whose own name is not even known, At least most people don't. He's most famous for being a person he truly isn't. And when people like this walked into Africa, they saw communities where women were free, where we had rights, where we had a mutual understanding. And when they came into Africa and experienced cultures where men and women were free, and they did not depend on the king to help them or save them or to lead them. A lot of traditional African communities had free men who could decide, what they wanted to do or where they wanted their allegiances and all of that. Then, we had women who were industrious, who were hardworking, who were doing really great stuff, all for themselves. And no one had to make rules about how you dressed or where you went or what you did and all that. And, they went bonkers. They literally went bonkers. Yeah, they went bonkers. And they had so many children here in Africa, left a bunch of Nzungus living among us. Well, there are brothers and sisters now. But, it's history, because if you do not know where the rain starts to beat you, how are you going to know when it stops? So these were some of the things we had to suffer. One of those cultures that destroyed absolutely and showed that many African cultures would never recover was, what we wore. And what they gave us was a replica of what they had back in the days. Only in very recent times we have seen a lot of those European cultures revolt against those repressive systems, but our people are yet to come to terms with that because we're hounded down by religious sentiments. And that's why sometimes I make videos on this channel and I have people judge African culture using the Bible as a standard, and I don't understand it. I totally don't understand it why people do that. But I think I have to talk about that some more in a separate video, because a lot of our people don't understand why the Bible is not a universal standard. Yeah. So back to nudity. More or less what happened is we had a culture swap, and the Europeans took back to their people what they found in Africa, and today you have all forms of nudity. In fact, we the ones preaching against European nudity because we think it's a bit too much now. But I think what we had were a bunch of perverted men who could not stand the sight of beautiful African women without sexualizing them. And after all said and done, a lot of our people are still here lost, and we still have a lot of Africans fighting against what is truly African, fighting against what is our culture. And you'd rather have me wear a coat in an environment that is very hot? That doesn't make a lot of sense, because the way we've come to understand it, clothing has certain functionalities. It's supposed to protect you from the elements. And if we don't have snow trying to freeze us to death, why do we need to put on a lot of heavy clothing? Well, just some food for thought, and I think I have to bring this rant to a close. So what do you think about all this talks about nudity? Is it something we need to revise? Do we need to look a little closer at what African dressings should be or is, or do we stick to the stuff we have right now, which isn't exactly working so well for us? So let me know what you think about this in the comment section. Is there such a thing as nudity in Africa? Because personally I don't see it. And just like a bunch of boys playing in the streets shirtless, we don't seem to see anything wrong with that, do we? Well, that was then. In the world today as we have it, everything is going to shit. Damn.